Hello and welcome to another review for filmandgamecomposers.com. I'm your host Meena Shamaly, and in this video we are looking at Morphzilla by MicroMorph. So Morphzilla is a sound design library of sorts, and by the name Morphzilla there's a bit of morphing and sound manipulation. So if we have a quick look at the product website, it's micromorphsound.co.uk, and the product is Morphzilla. It's described as a dual layer morphing tool for Kontakt 5 with a wide range of sounds. So we've got textured drones, evolving pads, ghostly atmospheres, impacts, complex microscopic sound design elements. And sounds come from field recordings from found sounds and other sound oddities, whatever they are. We'll have a look at them through this review. And it mixes organic and non-organic sounds. So it's a tool to combine, twist, sculpt, and morph and stretch the possibilities of these sounds. And this actually has 302 different sample sounds to be morphed and manipulated. So that's a collection of about 300 sounds, and a means to manipulate them through Kontakt is what we are being sold. For the price of £39, actually. So if you convert that to USD on Google quickly, it's about $60. So $60 for 300 sounds and a way to manipulate them doesn't sound like a bad deal. So let's have a quick look at what this library does and sounds like, and we'll test whether it's good value for money. Quick look at the specs. It's less than a gigabyte, it's about 780 megabytes. So in this era of multi-gigabyte sample libraries is kind of cool, but it's never about quantity. It's always about the quality of what we're being sold. And the installation is simple. You can download it through the Continuata Connect software, which is become the standard for Kontakt libraries these days. You just put in your code, and you get emailed the code, and it just downloads the links, and you point it to the directory, installs the library. It's all good. It requires the Kontakt 5.3.1, the full version, so it won't work in the free Kontakt player, or it will work in a time-limited demo mode in the free Kontakt player. But to actually take full advantage of this library, you would need the full version of Kontakt, which I always recommend you do get, because the possibilities of that are great. Anyway, so we'll have a look at Morphzilla, at the library. So as we said, since we need the full version of Kontakt, it doesn't show up in the libraries tab over here, so we need to access it via the files tab. And you can just access it here, or through the quick load menu. So I've got it here, MicroMorph Sound, Morphzilla, Instruments, and you get one patch, it's just the one patch, and you change everything through that patch. So this is the patch, and let's give it a whirl. We load up the patch, and this is what it sounds like off the bat. All right, now what are we actually listening to? Over here, you'll see that there are two different WAV files. So these are actually two different sound sources. And this knob in between them kind of morphs between them, hence the name Morphzilla, that big knob in the middle. So this is also controlled by the mod wheel. This is your main kind of means of changing it. So if you get it all on the one side, you hear one sound. You get it all on the other. It's a different sound, and maybe if you get them in the middle, you'll hear them both. So immediately, you can just do a lot just by morphing the sounds in between, and you can also reverse the sound. So here, if we just put it all to the one side, and here's where it says rev, that's reverse. You'll see the wave actually reverse. It's a pretty long sound, so I won't play the whole thing. And if we go from the other side, we'll reverse it. So there you have it. And here, you can access the different sounds to actually morph between them. So if you put it all to one side, we'll put it all to one side, and maybe just pick a couple. You can play them however you want. And then there, I think, if you have a look here at the mappings, each of these is mapped differently. Not selected groups. I don't want wave editor. What am I looking at? I'm not sure how this is meant to work. Because you see all these different... well, it's the script. The script of the... I thought I would have seen it all spread out, but no, the script kind of controls it differently. But anyway, you get the samples. My point was, you get the samples spread out over the keyboard. So, you know, it kind of pitches up and pitches down accordingly. And try something else. All right, we can reverse that. So obviously that's evolved into something else entirely. Now the cool thing here is, if you see this little line that you can drag that says S, that's the start point. You can change the start point of the sample. So if we play it here, so already there's more we can do with this. If I put it back to that long sound that we had before, and if I reverse it, I can start it from wherever I want. So if I want to start it right in the middle of that big part. So here we haven't even touched any of those other knobs, and we have a lot of ways to change it, right? And actually, let me reverse that and get it up to there. And then maybe kind of do something with this. Already I've got something different that I can do. And I can change it as I want. So that's some pretty cool stuff there. And so the whole, like, there are a lot of choices here, and if I just go randomly, look at this fan, and maybe I'll just fast forward. Maybe change it up a little bit. Use that as a kind of an interesting. That could be sort of underneath a groove. I can reverse it. It can become a hit. Whatever, you know? And yeah, so let's load up a different sound, and then we'll have a look at some of the other controls. Right. Haunted drone. Maybe something that this is actually we come to one of my first con of the library, is the fact that the sounds are at all these different volume levels. And well, that may be how they came, or how they are. I just find that it would have been better if I could control these volumes individually. So if I just put it here, we got this drone, but then we got a different drone There was something here before. Like the haunted drones are a lot softer. And I have to actually put up the volume to hear them. I wish there were a way to just control them from within the interface. So that might be something to think about. So you know what I mean? That's okay. So we'll just play one of these drone beans. All right, put the volume down here. And what controls? These controls are identical on both layers. So here we got pan. So pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy control. Got a the bit crusher here. And you could reduce the bit rate as well, the sample rate. So give it some interesting lo-fi there. So these are making use of the Kontakt effects in there. If you have a look at it here, or I would have thought they would have been in the insert effects. They could actually be in the group editor effects. So group insert effects. But that's besides the point. Anyway, I haven't really explored it down there, but like, I think some of the points of these libraries that you don't have to explore behind under the hood. So yeah, then what do we got here? We got here filter, so you can change it, but there's no indication. There's no indication of which filter I'm changing to. So here, obviously. So here I've changed it to a high pass filter. And if I change it here, that's a low pass filter. It's another high pass filter. Now this is something interesting. What if I turn down the envelope actually? See, I'm not. It's quite curious. I'm not sure how this is supposed to work. So this one's dynamic, but these filters are not dynamic. See what I mean? So it's a curious way to work, really. But if you get it back to the beginning, it's dynamic. It's like you can just play with it as you go. So I'm not quite sure why they've designed it that way. It's a bit curious, but you know, you can get a low pass filter there with the resonance. And you can get a filter envelope happening as well. Now, see, this is the thing. There is no more editability to this envelope. I mean, I'm just applying an envelope, but I have no idea what it's doing unless I actually hear it. You know what I mean? So I'd have to actually go in and look for these envelopes individually and kind of find what's being modified by what, which filter is being modified by what. You know what I mean? So these are the filters that are being applied. I'd have to actually go in there. Why is there no page to find that? I don't know. Like, I wish I could. I mean, see what I mean? So like, I have to actually physically go into the back end under the hood and find out what these envelopes are doing, right? So anyway, So then you got also the amplitude envelope, so you can change the attack. Obviously change the decay and the sustain. So say, for example, if I put the sustain down, I want to make this a plonky sound. I'll just put... So I'll just put the decay up. So no matter how long I hold it now, so... And maybe I'll put the decay up a little bit. But if I put the release up, then it'll just release as much as the decay will allow. Unless you do that. Woo! Okay, try that again. And of course, if I just put the sustain up, then I can just hold as much as I want, and the release will take care of what happens when I leave it. So that's it. And the same effects, the same controls can be applied to either layer. So say, for example, let's just reload this. And I'm working on Cubase 8, which has a bit of an annoying thing with the windows being up front. So I have to kind of... The pop-up window comes behind the Kontakt thing. That's a Cubase thing, has nothing to do with the library. Anyway, so can start off with like one sound. Say, for example, this. This is a nice... Let's put it down here. If you want to hear it. So I think it's a manipulated vocal sample. And maybe on the other side, I don't know what this mutation is. Maybe try some, I don't know, drift. Something like this. That sounds nice. Okay. Now, see, this is where I feel, see this volume discrepancy? I want to be able to raise up one of them or lower one of them. But that's hard. It's hard to do that. So it just kind of sounds like the sound dies. So maybe on here, I'll put on one of these ambient drones. So here, maybe we can pan one a bit more this way, a bit more that way. Right, and maybe we can just change the attacks on both of them. Maybe give each one a filter. I wish there were a way to link these filters as well, maybe, or link these controls and do something. So this is like, it's got a lot of potential, this library, but I think the interface maybe needs a bit more control if we're going to be able to combine and twist, sculpt things in a different way. I'd like to be able to control these individually or together if I want to. And I mean, at least I can set them both to the same knob. Oh, sorry, move that. So I can do that. So I've got a hardware knob actually controlling the cutoff. And see, one of them's actually finished, while the other one's still going. Also wish there was a bit of a loop thing I could apply, although that's asking a bit much, but you know, that's fine. You know, I'm not bemoaning the sounds themselves. at all. Or I'm sometimes bemoaning that maybe there are even more ways I could control it and you know, work with it. So yeah, I'll just reset this and again jump behind Kontakt. And just maybe we'll explore a couple of the sounds that you can just play. Like this one, for example, is pretty cool. So maybe change the attack a little bit. And put the release up a little bit. And maybe put the decay up. So there's a few melodic sounds here you can play with. Now, one thing I usually find with a lot of these sounds, a lot of these kinds of libraries, is that on the interface there'll also be some effects for reverb and delay, which haven't been provided here, but that's fine. I mean, they're not a big deal because they come with every DAW, with Logic, with Cubase, with Studio One, whatever you use, right? And so I can always insert some delays in here. So if I go just a ping pong delay from Cubase. You know, so that's possible and easy. And if you want to drench it in reverb, why not? Put in one of these and put it in a church. If you're hearing any clicks and pops, it's probably just from the recording, together with from recording the screencast. So yeah, so that's all there and possible. And there's all kinds of different sounds. So you got some drones. Yeah, we'll just change the attack up. And again, I can start it off wherever I want. One of them ended again. That may start to become a bit of a bit of a quirk. It's not really a quirk. I mean, that's the nature of the sound. The sound ends, right? I like these ones actually. If I Again, I really want to be able to control the volume because the volume is just like the discrepancy. How am I going to morph it with another sound if the discrepancy is there? You know what I mean? What else do we have? I'm just picking up some random sounds. There's 302 there, so. This is pretty cool, actually. And maybe some of these sounds that are related to each other, those like you have mono 1, mono 2, mono 3, mono 4. So mono 1. Maybe we can put it up here where the loud part is. The same kind of thing. And maybe just morph them. And one of them's over. There you go. Good. So there's really quite a bit that can be done there. Maybe a few more. So these sounds are pretty short. And maybe you can actually control this via MIDI CC. So see, I've got a knob on my controller, so I can just play the sound and change it whenever I want. So that's pretty cool that you can do that. What else we got? Flames. Change the attack a little bit, some of them. And yeah, I wish there's a bit of a fade out thing, but you know, can if you know the sound's gonna die, just let it go beforehand. Ooh, this is kind of loud actually. This stuff like this, and maybe I can just go straight to this. Straight to this. You know what I mean? So the fact that you can dial into each part of the sound is pretty cool. Scrape tone. What else do we have? We had stuff like this. This is pretty cool stuff. One of them that I really liked was this one, because have a listen. I particularly enjoyed this because it's the sound of someone manipulating a synthesizer and like doing all these like little things with the filters. And if you cut in, you can hear all these different parts of it. So I found a sound like this pretty fun, right? And if we reverse that. That's pretty cool. Maybe just a few more. Haunted pad. It's pretty cool. But again, sound the volume. Right, and we got some interesting chordal things. So, for example, this extended pad that we heard at the beginning. Start off like this. Got some pretty interesting sounds. Maybe I can bend this whole thing a little bit. Anyway. So that's some pretty cool stuff, right? And the selection of sounds, I'm not going to go through all of them, but the selection of sounds is pretty nice. right? It's a great selection of sounds at the very least. So put the volume back down here. See, put the pads up. So that can make for a really nice bed to kind of like write something on top of. So, and maybe with the filter as well. Then you can cut into the sample. So there's a lot of control, even though these are all these pre-made sounds and some of them are pretty complex. There's a lot of control over how you do them. I wish the interface were a little more elaborate. I mean, like a knob for envelope doesn't do much for me. I wish I could control the specifics of this envelope without having to go to the back end. Well, you know, I mean, that's one of the things. None of these are showstoppers, but at the same time, they're things that I think at this point in time, by this point in sample library development, I think a lot of people are implementing them, and to not be able to implement them, or to not implement them, kind of sets you back a little bit. But that's not to bemoan the library at all, because the library is great, and you know, if you know your way around your samples and you know your way around your libraries and how to work Kontakt and that kind of thing, then you really won't have much trouble. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying these things that you know, these are things that I wish could be improved. So we need a bit more, maybe a couple more pages in the script to kind of control each thing individually, and a way to control the volume of each patch separately rather than having to resort to filters or to resort to anything else. The other thing that I wish we could do is have maybe a left and a right indicator for each layer, so I can just scroll through the sounds rather than having to open the menu each time, and then it will give it to me from the beginning. So if I was scrolling around the V and the W and the Z, I'll have to scroll down every single time I'm choosing a sound, even if that's where I've chosen my last sound. So just for practicality's sake is why I'm saying this. Now, I suppose the final thing I'd like to say is that this is a great collection of sounds, and you know, very useful. And I personally am someone who loves to manipulate sounds, whether through Kontakt or whether through audio files in Cubase. Now, one thing I wish I could do is, in Cubase they have this great thing where they have the media bay as part of the interface, so I don't have to open a separate thing. So I can load up samples from my libraries, from my hard drive, and just drag them in straight away without the hassle of, okay, let's import it into the project and then do that. This automatically imports into the project. So that's great. However, since the WAV files, for compression's sake, in Kontakt are NCW, which is not WAV, I can only use them as WAV files. Those are loud. Sorry. And let's not auto preview for now. If I want to drag it in here, I'll only be able to play it through Kontakt and manipulate it through Kontakt as the sound by itself. So that's what I mean. I cannot do that if I open up, where's MicroMorph? If I open it up here, I can't open the samples because they're not WAV files. So the only way to get around that is I'm finding, because I want to be able to like drag them in here and manipulate them as audio files, because I'm not just buying the interface and sample lab, the library and the the morphing interface, I'm also buying the sounds themselves. So I want to be able to do more with the sounds than, what Kontakt may allow me to do. Because, sometimes working with audio files is pretty fun. So if we choose maybe a bit of a short sound, let's maybe just get, I don't know, drift, whatever that is. That's really nice. I don't know where it finishes. Maybe I'll just get the attack and the release down. So I like that sound, right? So one way I can I can kind of turn it into an audio file in my project is I'll record. Sorry. I mean, I could hold it down for the whole thing, but I could just, let's just say this is all I want from the sound, right? So I'll play it and it'll always be that way. In Cubase, you would go Edit, Render in Place. And if I go Render Setup, then I can render however I want. So I've got the file settings and where it's going to go. I'm not going to go into that. You can look that up on Steinberg's YouTube. But I'll render it in place. And what it will do is now I've got an audio version of that file. I'll just put it up a little bit here. Right, and I can just manipulate it and cut into just the WAV file like I would with anything else. And I can then manipulate that file on its own and stretch it and compress it and distort it and do whatever I want with it outside of the Kontakt interface. A couple of a few sample libraries provide you with waves in Kontakt, but because of their size, sometimes NCW has become the way to provide sample libraries to make them compress and not take up too much hard drive space, which is cool. I just wish I would have been able to just drag in the wave and do that rather than have to play this and spend extra time rendering and stuff. But not a big deal. Not a big deal, since I can already do that anyway. And here, I can just fade in, fade out however I want. See what I mean? And, I could even copy it and reverse it. Do something like that, and then just turn it into this long drone if I want to, and then pitch it up, do whatever I want with it. That's one of the things I like to do, be able to do, and sound designers will do that all the time. If they're designing sounds for movies or video games or whatever, they're always doing that kind of thing. So yeah. The possibility is there if you know your DAW well and your DAW well and you know your samples well. And if you don't, that's, I suppose, something to learn and something cool that you can do. So, yeah, I think that about covers it. Try to make this as snappy as possible. Sorry if it's taken a bit too long. But, conclusion, is it worth the £39 or the $60 US? Absolutely, for the collection of sounds themselves, because they're really great sounding, great quality sounding, collections and elements. So I like the way they're recorded and they're produced and they're provided. They don't sound cheap, if you know what I mean. They sound high quality, and they will take well to manipulation, which of course is the point of this library. Can this library do a lot of manipulation? Absolutely. Can it do more? Yes, it can. It has potential to, and maybe if the interface were a bit more improved, I'd be a bit happier with it. However, I'm still very happy with what it is. And for the $60, I think it is well worth it for what you get, for the possibilities, the sounds themselves, the manipulation possibilities, and I'm sure if they wanted to update it with any new features, then there's your $60 as an investment for the future. And of course, the sounds themselves are always, you can manipulate them outside of Kontakt, like I was just showing you. No problems, no issues. This start timer is fantastic, and the fact that it's controllable via MIDI CC is brilliant. And the morphing capabilities, it's all great. It's all pretty well done. With a few improvements in the interface, this would be an unstoppable library. All right. Till the next review, I'm Meena Shamaly, and I'll see you then.